So the story behind both of these Bugattis is strange, but there's no real answer to any of the problems. So I guess that leaves me trying to diagnose and repair this myself.
Imagine receiving a phone call that sounds so unbelievable, you think someone is playing a joke on you. Now imagine that call coming from one of the most respected actors in the world. A man famous not only for blockbuster movies, but also for his humble personality and deep love of cars. For most people, such a moment would seem impossible. But for YouTube car builder Mat Armstrong, stories like this are exactly why millions of people follow his journey. Over the last few years, Mat has built a reputation for taking badly damaged vehicles that many people would consider beyond repair and bringing them back to life. His workshop in Leicester has become known around the world because he does more than fix expensive cars. He tells a complete story behind every rebuild. Viewers watch him make mistakes, solve difficult problems, and celebrate victories that often seem impossible at the beginning of each project. That honesty has helped him earn millions of subscribers who trust his work and enjoy watching every challenge unfold. Then a new story began circulating among car fans online. According to the story, Keanu Reeves wanted Mat Armstrong to restore one of his personal cars. If true, it would represent one of the biggest moments in Mat's career. Keanu Reeves is not just another celebrity with an expensive collection of vehicles. He has spent years showing a genuine passion for driving motorcycles and classic automobiles. Unlike many famous people who buy luxury cars simply because they can afford them, Keanu has often spoken about the emotional connection he feels with the vehicles he owns. Every car in his garage tells part of his personal journey, and many fans admire him because he values memories just as much as horsepower. That is why the idea of him trusting an independent YouTube mechanic captured so much attention across the automotive community. Whether every detail of the story is exactly as described or not, the idea itself raises an interesting question. How does someone who started by rebuilding a crashed family car grow into a name that even famous people might know? The answer is not found in expensive tools or a huge factory. It is found in years of hard work, patience, and a willingness to share every success and every failure with millions of viewers. Mat Armstrong never became popular because everything went perfectly. He became popular because people watched him struggle through problems that most mechanics would rather hide. Every broken bolt, every missing part, every unexpected repair became part of the story. That honesty created trust, and trust slowly turned into a global reputation. As rumors and discussions about a possible Keanu Reeves restoration spread across YouTube and social media, excitement continued to grow. Fans want to know whether one of Hollywood's biggest stars had really chosen a self-taught mechanic from England over famous restoration companies. They wonder what kind of car would deserve such attention, why it mattered so much, and whether Mat could live up to the enormous expectations that would come with such a responsibility. Those questions turned a simple restoration story into something much bigger. It became a story about reputation, passion, craftsmanship, and the unexpected ways that talent can open doors. Before we can understand why this story fascinated so many people, we first need to look closely at the two men at the center of it and the journeys that made this extraordinary connection seem possible. To understand why this story became such a huge topic among car lovers, you first have to understand Keanu Reeves himself. Most people know him as Neo from The Matrix or the fearless John Wick, but those famous movie roles tell only a small part of his story. Away from Hollywood, Keanu has built a reputation for being one of the most humble and down-to-earth celebrities in the world. He has been seen riding the subway instead of hiring expensive transportation, quietly helping strangers without asking for attention, and treating everyone around him with respect. That same simple attitude also appears in the way he looks at cars. Unlike celebrities who collect supercars only to show them on social media, Keanu has always seemed to value the experience of driving more than showing off. He has often spoken about the memories connected to his vehicles rather than their price tags. One of his earliest cars was a vintage Volvo 122, a car he lovingly called Dumpy. It was far from the fastest or most expensive vehicle on the road, but became part of his life and represented his early years before worldwide fame arrived. Over time, his collection grew to include some of the most desirable cars in the world. Reports over the years have linked him with several impressive machines, including different Porsche models, Ferraris, powerful American muscle cars, luxury sedans, and high-performance motorcycles. Yet even with access to almost any car money could buy, he has always appeared to appreciate vehicles because of the story behind them rather than simply their value. That mindset explains why so many people believe he would care deeply about restoring a meaningful older car instead of simply replacing it with a brand new one. For someone who loves driving, every scratch, every mile, and every repair can become part of a vehicle's history. A well-loved car becomes almost like an old friend, carrying memories that cannot simply be bought again. This is one reason the rumored restoration story felt believable to many fans. It matched the personality people already knew. At the same time, another remarkable story was unfolding on the other side of the world. In Leicester, England, Mat Armstrong was slowly becoming one of the biggest names in automotive content. His journey looked nothing like the traditional path followed by professional restoration companies. He did not build his reputation through expensive advertising or a famous family business. Instead, he earned it one project at a time, filming every success and every mistake for millions of viewers. His love for mechanics came from growing up around his father's garage, where he learned the basics of repairing vehicles long before he became a YouTube creator. As a teenager, however, his biggest dream was not rebuilding cars. He wanted to become a professional BMX rider, and for several years that dream seemed possible. Unfortunately, injuries changed everything and forced him to find a different direction in life. Rather than giving up, he turned toward another passion that had always been waiting in the background. He bought a damaged car, picked up a camera, and began documenting the repair process. That decision completely changed his future. Viewers did not fall in love with perfectly polished videos. They became interested because Matt was willing to show frustration, failed attempts, unexpected setbacks, and difficult decisions instead of pretending every repair was easy. Every episode felt honest, and every completed project showed how determination could solve problems that first looked impossible. As his audience continued to grow, so did the difficulty of the vehicles entering his workshop. Luxury cars, supercars, and rare performance machines slowly replaced everyday family vehicles. With every successful rebuild, his reputation spread further across the automotive world. Before long, people were no longer watching simply to see broken cars repaired. They were watching because they believed Matt could achieve what many experts considered impossible, and that growing reputation eventually became the foundation for one of the most talked about automotive stories on the internet. As Mat Armstrong's channel became more popular, the projects arriving at his workshop grew larger, more expensive, and much more difficult. What had once been simple repairs on everyday cars slowly turned into full restorations of luxury vehicles worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Every new project seemed impossible at first. Cars arrived with serious crash damage, missing parts, broken engines, destroyed electronics, and repair costs so high that many people believed they should simply be scrapped. Instead of walking away from these challenges, Matt accepted them. His confidence did not come from believing he knew everything. It came from believing that every problem could be solved if he was willing to work hard enough and learn something new along the way. That attitude became the foundation of his success. Viewers enjoyed watching because they never knew whether the next episode would end with a major breakthrough or another unexpected setback. Unlike many television shows, there was no guarantee of success. Every repair felt real because the risks were real. Sometimes expensive parts arrived damaged. Sometimes suppliers sent the wrong components. Sometimes hidden problems appeared only after hours of work had already been completed. Instead of cutting those moments out of the final video, Matt left them in, allowing viewers to experience the same frustration that he and his team were feeling. This honesty created a strong connection with his audience. People no longer felt like they were simply watching a mechanic fix cars. They felt like they were joining a group of friends trying to solve difficult puzzles together. As the subscriber count continued climbing into the millions, the automotive industry also started paying attention. Well-known companies noticed that Matt's videos reached audiences far beyond traditional car enthusiasts. His projects were attracting people who normally had little interest in mechanics because the stories were about determination, problem-solving, and personal growth as much as they were about engines and bodywork. Soon, famous names began appearing around his workshop. Some offered advice, while others supplied rare parts that were difficult to find anywhere else. Several high-profile car projects helped raise his reputation even further, including rebuilds involving luxury brands like Lamborghini, Ferrari, Rolls-Royce, Aston Martin, Bentley, and Bugatti. Each successful restoration proved that he was becoming capable of handling vehicles that many people would never dream of touching. Among these projects, the Bugatti rebuild attracted worldwide attention because of the enormous technical challenges involved. The car represented one of the most complex engineering achievements ever built for the road, and many experts questioned whether an independent workshop could restore it successfully. Mat accepted the challenge anyway, documenting every stage of the process for his audience. Whether people agreed with his methods or not, they could not deny his determination. Every obstacle he overcame strengthened the belief that his workshop was becoming something special. By this point, his reputation had grown far beyond YouTube. His name was being discussed in automotive magazines, online forums, and among collectors who owned some of the rarest cars in the world. This growing reputation also changed how people viewed his garage. It was no longer just a small workshop in Leicester. It had become a place where impossible-looking projects somehow found new life. That is exactly why the rumor involving Keanu Reeves caught so much attention. If one of Hollywood's most respected actors truly wanted someone to restore a meaningful car, many fans believe Mat Armstrong had become the kind of person who could earn that trust. Years of difficult rebuilds, countless sleepless nights, and an honest approach to storytelling had transformed him from an unknown mechanic into one of the most recognized automotive creators in the world. Whether repairing a family hatchback or $1 million supercar, his goal remained the same: bring the vehicle back to life while showing viewers every challenge along the way. That consistency was what separated him from many others and made the next chapter of the story feel both surprising and believable. As stories about the rumored connection between Keanu Reeves and Mat Armstrong spread to the automotive community, one question appeared again and again. If this really happened, what kind of car would Keanu trust someone else to restore? Many people immediately imagined an ultra-expensive Bugatti, a Ferrari worth millions, or perhaps one of the rare motorcycles connected to his company, Arch Motorcycle. After all, celebrities are often linked with flashy supercars that grab headlines wherever they go. But the story suggested something very different. Instead of choosing the newest and most valuable machine in his collection, the focus was said to be on an older Porsche 911, a car that carried memories rather than simply a high price tag. That detail made the story far more interesting because it reflected something many car enthusiasts understand. Sometimes the most valuable vehicle in a garage is not the one worth the most money. It is the one connected to special moments in life. A car can remind its owner of a certain period, an unforgettable road trip, a personal achievement, or even a loved one. Those memories cannot be replaced by buying another expensive vehicle. That is why restoring an older car is often about much more than repairing metal and replacing worn parts. It is about protecting a piece of someone's history. According to the story, when the Porsche finally arrived at Mat Armstrong's workshop, the atmosphere inside the garage immediately changed. The team had already worked on rare and valuable vehicles before, but this project carried a different kind of pressure. It was not only about repairing a classic sports car. It was about respecting the trust that had supposedly been placed in them. Every member of the team understood that one careless decision could change a car that meant a great deal to its owner. Unlike replacing damaged panels on a recently crashed supercar, restoring an older vehicle requires patience and careful planning. Many original parts may no longer be available, and every repair must balance reliability with authenticity. Replace too many original components, and the car loses part of its identity. Leave too many worn parts untouched, and the restoration may not last. Finding that balance is one of the hardest parts of classic car restoration. Mat's previous experience had taught him that every project begins with a careful inspection rather than immediately taking tools to the vehicle. Problems hidden beneath the surface often become much larger than anyone first expects. A car that looks reasonably clean on the outside may hide years of corrosion underneath. Small electrical faults can take days to locate. Mechanical parts that appear usable may fail once the vehicle is driven again. These are the kinds of surprises that make restoration both exciting and stressful. The rumored Porsche was expected to be no different. Every panel, every bolt, every wire needed to be examined before major work could begin. Fans following the story imagined the same familiar scene they had seen many times on Matt's YouTube channel. The car would be placed inside the workshop. Cameras would begin recording. The team would walk around it, discussing visible damage while wondering what hidden problems might be waiting underneath. Those early moments are often some of the most important in any restoration because they shape every decision that follows. The first inspection rarely tells a complete story. Instead, it usually raises even more questions. How serious is the rust? Has the engine been damaged? Are the suspension components still safe? Has previous repair work created new problems? Every answer leads to another challenge. That uncertainty is exactly what keeps viewers interested. They know that even the most experienced mechanics cannot predict everything. Every restoration becomes a journey filled with unexpected discoveries, difficult choices, and moments where success seems uncertain. If the reports surrounding this Porsche were true, Mat Armstrong and his team were about to begin one of the most meaningful projects of their careers, knowing that every decision they made would carry far greater importance than simply making an old car run again. Once the inspection began, it quickly became clear that this restoration, as described in the story, would demand far more than simply replacing worn-out parts. Like many classic cars that have spent years on the road, the Porsche appeared to carry the marks of age in places that were impossible to notice at first glance. From the outside, it still looked complete, but experienced mechanics know that appearances can be very misleading. The real condition of any older vehicle is hidden beneath the paint, inside the suspension, on the floor, and deep within the electrical system. That is why Mat Armstrong and his team always begin by carefully taking the car apart, instead of rushing toward the exciting stages of the build. Every removed panel reveals another part of the vehicle's history. Every bolt tells a story about previous repairs, years of use, or the simple effects of time. According to the narrative, the first serious issue to appear was rust. Not the kind of heavy corrosion that destroys an entire car, but the quieter type that slowly spreads beneath the surface without attracting attention. Rust is one of the greatest enemies of any classic vehicle, because it often grows in places that remain hidden until major disassembly begins, left untreated. Even small areas can eventually weaken the structure of the car and create expensive problems later. Matt understood that ignoring those areas would only create bigger headaches in the future. Instead, the damaged sections had to be cleaned, treated, and protected before any rebuilding could continue. Although this work would never be noticed by someone simply looking at the finished Porsche, it represented some of the most important hours of the entire project. Great restorations are often defined not by the parts people can see, but by the invisible work hidden underneath. Once the rust was under control, attention turned toward the suspension. A Porsche 911 has always been famous for its unique driving experience, but that experience depends on every suspension component working exactly as it should. Years of driving over uneven roads, combined with normal wear and aging rubber parts, can slowly change the way a car handles. Sometimes these changes happen so gradually that owners hardly notice them until they compare the car with another properly restored example. According to the story, measurements revealed that several parts of suspension no longer matched factory specifications. Correcting these issues required much more than replacing old components. Every adjustment had to be made carefully, so the Porsche would drive the way its engineers originally intended. Precision mattered because even small mistakes could affect steering, braking, and stability. At the same time, another challenge began to appear inside